Hey y'all, Michelle Raza here with the Finding Yourself Book Club, and today we're going to keep talking about John Gottman's What Makes Love Last. We blazed through chapter 6, the trust and roots of attunement, and we're going to continue today talking about the art of intimate conversation. The art of intimate conversation. Please do check out our website. We're at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. There you can take our life balance questionnaire and then shoot it over to us in an email, and we'd be happy to discuss it with you free of charge if you're not already an existing client. And if you prefer, just send us an email or send us a text, call us, and we'll get in touch with you. First consult is always free. So, okay, we'll dive right in to John Gottman's Attunement Made Easy, the art of intimate conversation. At a dinner party, I listened to a man recount how his four-wheel drive truck got stuck in a ditch near his house during a snowstorm. I went inside to get something to help improve traction, he began. A woman standing nearby cut him off and said, "Well, while the snow was falling, my family and I were in a head-on collision on Route 5. Then the man continued, "So I got an old quilt from the house and I put it under the rear wheels and it worked." I turned to the woman and exclaimed, "My God, you were in a head-on collision? What happened?" This three-way exchange, with its non sequiturs and interruptions, is typical of conversations you hear at parties. By the way, the cars were traveling at a crawl and no one was hurt. People tend to talk past each other. They don't listen well and rarely ask one another questions or follow a straight line of thought. The famous Swiss child psychologist Jean Piaget called this phenomenon collective monologue. He was describing conversations among preschoolers, but his term characterizes many grown-up conversations as well. Superficial chats are the opposite of attuned conversation. At a party, these sorts of interactions are standard and harmless, but talking past each other with frequency is also common in long-term relationships, and between a couple it is damaging. Such cross-talk prevents partners from achieving the kind of closeness that solidifies a bond. Many people think that effective conversation entails making yourself sound interesting to others, when actually it's all about being interested in others and listening. In the chapters ahead, I'll show you how to use attunement skills to avoid counterproductive collective monologue during arguments. But don't wait for conflict to arise before you implement this approach. Attuned communication in everyday life is necessary to maintain any relationship. If you're thinking, all this talk about opening up sounds great, but my partner is never going to do it, or no way I can do that, you may be in for a happy surprise. I have succeeded in teaching many hopeless cases to confide in their partners. The key is what I call the art of intimate conversation, which is really a beginner's approach to attunement. Intimate conversation doesn't require that you discuss conflicts or touchy subjects. It's just about talking. You can apply these conversational skills without your partner knowing it, though, of course, the more you work together on the process, the better. This method demystifies the attunement process by breaking it down into 4 steps. You don't need to be a people person to master it. I taught it to Glenn, a middle-aged engineer who was a self-proclaimed curmudgeon. He prided himself on not having any needs. He told me, "People who need people are always disappointed and miserable." Chit-chatting was on his to-be-avoided list. He despised work-related banquets and retreats because they required social interaction. And yet he agreed to learn my approach because his emotional distance was frustrating his wife of 20 years. She felt so lonely in the marriage that she was considering leaving him. His 2 teenage daughters felt alienated as well. They said living with him was like having a grumpy stranger on the premises who wouldn't care if they ran sobbing from the room. In therapy, Glenn admitted to me that he didn't know how to get closer to them. Acquiring these 4 skills salvaged his relationship with his family. There were collateral benefits too. In one session, Glenn reported with amusement that at a recent work event, he sat next to a coworker he always tried to avoid because she talked too much. At the end of the meal, during which he had applied the 4 skills, the woman exclaimed in surprise that he was such a nice person. With a chuckle, he complained to me that learning to attune was ruining his reputation. Here are the skills I taught Glenn and countless others. Consider them to be a ticket to your partner's inner world. To integrate them into daily life, I recommend that couples schedule regular "How was your day?" chats using this method to check in and reconnect. For many examples of words and phrases you can use during intimate conversations, see Appendix 1 on page 244. So if you've picked up your own copy, please do turn to the appendix. I'm not going to go into it here. I'm going to do high level here, and then in future videos, we will go into the details. So number 1, put your feelings into words, which is what I kind of touched on our last video, right? How the first thing a therapist will tell you is, how do you feel? And if you've never been validated in your feelings, that itself may take a few months. So work on feeling your feelings and then putting them into words. 2, ask open-ended questions. And Gottman actually has an entire card deck that you can download. It's like an app on your phone that you can download, and it has like date questions, open-ended questions. I highly recommend that. Follow up with statements that deepen connection is number 3. Number 4 is express compassion and empathy. Okay? And those are the 4 steps of attunement. I know I have these series of videos on a playlist, but I'm contemplating in Gottman's book, The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. I may give you a sneak peek of that book, just because it really connects with this one. So he's giving you 4 steps to attunement, but in his other book, he talks about the stress-reducing conversation. So I may just create that video, and it'll be in my playlist, but it'll be in my videos off my channel, but I won't link it into this playlist. But I think it really, really will be helpful if you're following along, if you're subscribed and you're interested. I think that piece out of that book will really help jive with this stuff. So, and I'm looking to the side because I'm looking at the book. But thank you for following along with me today. We will continue and dive into each of these 4 different skill sets in our next 4 videos. Really excited to be talking with you. Thank you for those that have reached out. I appreciate all the comments on YouTube as well. Actually, just earlier this week, I had somebody comment that they were the 100th like on a video, and it really did make me smile. So if the only way I ever interact with you is through YouTube, I'm fine with that, as long as I'm helping a little bit. And if you'd like to consult with us further, please do check out our site. We're at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. See y'all tomorrow.